Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Monday, August 24th, 2020. This is the SOS show with James Lott Jr. I am James Lott Jr., super organizer, and I heard the call and we're here to help. I have a great guest. I'm so excited to have a guest. And yes, she's Black. So happy to have this. And I say that not because to be funny and smarmy or anything like that, but because she's actually one of the founding members and the current president of the National Association for Black Professional Organizers. Didn't know it existed. You probably didn't either. Now you're going to know. So I'm going to talk about that when that's going on. She's also a senior designer at Closet Envy. She has her own company, Restore Order Now. So go to restoreordernow.com. She's an author. She's just a fabulous person. I'm so happy to have her on my show. Naeemah Ford Goldson. I got your first name right and get the last name wrong.
Hey, the first name is what's important because that's the one that people always mispronounce. But thank you. I'm so excited to be on your show.
Thank you. I'm happy to have you here. So before I show, as everybody always do, I've done over 300 episodes of this show over 5 years. I always give thanks and gratitude because I believe with all of my heart, you should always give thanks and gratitude in life. I meditate every morning and do my prayer every morning, and this is a practice that I follow. My thanks and gratitude go to my mentors out there, official and unofficial. There are folks I talk to in the village, I believe in the village, that are my elders who know things more than I do. And they're not my official mentors, but they're my mentors. They show me the way and give me different ways of thinking of things and looking at things. But I do have actual mentors. I love them also, and shout out to them. I want to give a shout out and gratitude to my stepfather, Moses, who turned 84 yesterday. He is out there, he's alive and kicking. He's kicking. A man who told me he picked cotton in the morning before he went to school. And he retired as a police officer and a Navy man. Raised 10 kids. So there you go. And it makes my mom happy. What? Isn't that amazing? I mean, that's where you come from. Amazing. And to my younger brother, JR, who bugs the crap out of me every day. But also, I love him very much. And he also has given me great advice in my career, who turned another age yesterday. I won't say the age. He has an internet age and a regular age, so I won't do that to him. But to John Richard, my younger brother, who does his job of being my younger brother, happy birthday to him. Those are my things.
Oh, happy birthday to all of them.
Yes. Do you have a thanks and gratitude for anybody while we're thinking about it?
Well, I would like to say I'm thankful for my family. I come from a big family. I am 5 of 8. So. And my siblings and my parents have always been so supportive of anything and everything I do, no matter how crazy. So thanks to them. And then thanks to my husband and who's downstairs with my little boys, and hopefully they don't try to come and barge into the room, but I'm thankful to them for being quiet while we're doing this.
That's real talk. That's real talk right now with how everything's going on. And I'm going to ask you, so how has it been being an entrepreneur or mompreneur, so whatever word you want to use? You're a businesswoman, running an association and being married with young children at home during this time period.
Well, it's been crazy during this time period. I have not been without my kids. I think at all this year, and then with them not being in school, it just adds more onto it because, my husband, he works in news and he works overnight. And so everything kind of falls on me. So I'm the one that has to work around everyone's schedule. So, I'm their teacher, I have to get them up in the morning, which is what I'm used to, but I'm used to getting them up in the morning and then taking them to school and then doing, all the things that I have to design appointments or any organizing appointments or things like that. Well, now I'm having to shift and do school with them in the morning and, save time in the afternoon and weekends to actually get work done. So it's been quite the challenge, I think I've adjusted at this point. And I'm trying to get used to the new normal. But definitely kids, oh my gosh, I don't know how many video chats I've been on where my youngest will come up and give me a kiss because he wants something, or my oldest is playing video games and he's yelling at the screen or, something along those lines. So it's been a little crazy, but this is our new normal. This is just kind of what it is, right now.
You have a cute family. You have a very cute
Thank
family.
you.
That's good.
Thank you. I
Beautiful
appreciate
black
that.
family. I love it. Now here's the deal. So you bring up a good point for me. I try to tell some of my clients to change their thinking. I always say you're not just a housewife. You're not just a
Right.
mother. I always tell them
Right.
you're a house manager. You're an
Mm-hmm.
appointment maker. You are a
Mm-hmm.
CEO of your home and your family. I mean, like,
Exactly.
I'm always, you're a great example of that. I mean, I shout out to moms out there. I bow down to you. I ring the bell, whatever. It's all for you because you have to. And not saying that the men, and some men run households too. Some men are doing it also. I say that when you're at home, it's like you're not just at home, just one thing. You're doing 20 different things.
Right.
So you got to be organized, right?
Right, exactly. So it's like if I don't even know how anyone would do it if they weren't organized because it's really just been a crazy time. I mean, you can't even take your kids out anywhere. The only place we've been this summer is we did go to the beach here in Georgia, in Tybee Island, and the only places they've really had a chance to go is to the zoo because the zoo is outdoors and there's social distancing, but that's it. Like they're in the house all the time, and
Right there.
luckily we have a big yard for them to play in. We're in Georgia. It's been 90 degrees for the past few weeks. So it's just tough. So it's definitely important to adjust. And like I said, being organized, it's probably saved my life through this because I just don't know what I would have done if it were not for having a home for all of my items and having my kids organized.
Yeah, I always try to tell people that. I said that, we're not just telling you stuff like to be judgmental, like just throw your stuff away. Like, we're not saying that kind of stuff. We're saying that literally it's practical. And I feel like
Right.
this time period has shown a lot of folks, because they're home now, how their
Yeah.
homes are not working for them. That they don't have systems in place that work for them. That it's making their
Right.
jobs harder. I mean, so I'm like, I've been getting a lot of phone calls last 5 months. I'm like, oh my God, I can't do this, or I can't find this. What do I do? I'm like, oh, interesting. But it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of good. I mean, and again, non-judgment is good. Now you're finding out for yourself that you kind of have to be organized to be
Right.
productive and have things run. I'm not saying nothing's perfect. Things happen. But for the most part, you kind of have to, like, looking behind you, I'm seeing that there has to be a place for stuff. It saves
Right.
time, right? It saves
Right.
time and everything, and energy. Because you have a lot of
Right.
energy to do other things. You have to have energy to do other things than trying to
Exactly.
find some keys or something, or sure, right?
Exactly. I completely agree because it's like if you go ahead and get your things organized once, like you said, put systems in place so you know where everything is. And then when you're looking for it, you won't have to rummage through everything to figure out if you still have it. You won't have to buy extra because you don't know where it is. And so you're saving money. So it really is just kind of, investing that time to getting your stuff together, basically.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. How long have you been organizing professionally?
So professionally, I am going into my 8th year.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
And you are certified, correct?
I am. I'm a certified professional organizer. I've been a certified organizer since 2016.
Okay. And where'd you get certified?
Where did I get certified?
Yes.
So I got certified through the BCPO. And then I'm also a member of ICD, the Institute
Love
for
ICD.
Challenging
Love them.
Disorganization. I love them too. I've learned so much through ICD, and that actually helped me prepare for the CPO exam. So yeah, I love it. I've learned so much. Learned a lot about different clients that I've come across, and it just really prepares you for what this industry actually is.
So what were you doing before organizing?
Okay, so how much time we got?
I got some time, girl. Tell me. Tell me. Tell me. I love it. I love hearing that, because this is always the fascinating part. It's like, what did you do before you got to organizing?
Right. Yeah, no, never in my life did I say, hey, I want to be a professional organizer. Never.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, kids growing up now could possibly say,
Yeah.
I want to be a
Yeah.
professional organizer because now it's out there. But before, I didn't even know that this profession existed
Sure.
until I watched that. I don't know if you watched the show The Amandas, and it was on Style Network back in the day. So that's when I learned, like, oh, you can do this as a job, because I've been organized my life, and I always, mom is my biggest client. Whenever she lives in Nebraska, so whenever I go home to Nebraska, and there's Black people there.
I did not know that. I did not. I was like, Nebraska, Black people in Nebraska. Okay, I had no idea. I was like, that's my next question. I'm like, really? Okay.
But no, but really, she's been my biggest client for years. Because she, having so many kids, our house was just so chaotic, it was just so much chaos. And I always found myself, trying to through that and just, have some normalcy among chaos. So I was always a child that would, clean the kitchen and, and clean this room and clean up after my youngest siblings and things of that nature. But I actually got my start in media.
Oh.
I studied broadcasting at the University of Nebraska, and I when I was done with school, what I wanted to do, I knew that I wanted to be in radio, but I didn't know where I was planning to go. So right after I graduated, I decided to audition for a play at a local community theater in Nebraska, which it was, I'm not sure if you're familiar with John Beasley, but he is an actor in Hollywood.
Yep, sure.
And he is from Omaha, and he had a theater out there. It's called the John Beasley Theater. And they were putting on a production of A Raisin in the Sun.
Oh.
So I decided to audition for the part of Benitha Younger, and I got the part. And again, it was right after college. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll for this play. Why not? So I did that. I made a couple connections with people there who insisted that I should stay in Nebraska to further my broadcasting career. There were two people, one person who worked for the Fox network out there, one person who worked for the ABC network, who both said, if you want to get a job, this would probably be the best option. At the time, I was also a radio intern. I was a little hard-headed and decided, no, I don't think so. I think I just want to move to Atlanta, because my dad recommended Atlanta because my aunt lives here. And he was like, CNN is headquartered there. Why don't you go there? Now, granted, I didn't really have an interest in being in news, but I was like, okay, why not? It's like, I had that mentality. I'm young, whatever.
Oh, yeah,
22.
Yeah, exactly.
What do I have to lose?
Right, exactly. I know. When you're young, you think that, of course.
Right. So I came down here to Atlanta, lived with my aunt for about 4 months. Throughout the time I lived with her, I did odd jobs, but my goal was to work at CNN. I actually did end up getting a job at CNN, and before that, I was a substitute teacher, and then I worked at a group home, and and so I finally got the job at I finally got a job at CNN, and it was in their tour department. So I got my foot in the door there, but I didn't realize how much of a struggle it was going to be to navigate around. It was a struggle I'll have to say it was a struggle for me and a lot of people of color, because there were some people who didn't have issues navigating around. But most of, my friends who went through, some of them just had to leave the company altogether, which is eventually, and then some of them, it just took them forever to get, a promotion to a different department. But while I was there, I met my husband. I met my husband at CNN, working in the tour department, and he still works there. But yeah, it's crazy. I'm assuming that I had to work there in order to him. I'm pretty sure that was the purpose,
yes.
Of working there.
I agree.
But yeah, so I after the CNN tour, during the CNN tour, I decided to reach out to the people in CNN radio and ask them if I can just shadow and if I can just make a demo reel so I can, you know, apply to other places. Because my thought process was, you know, I'm here at CNN. I have access to these people's email addresses. Let me reach out and see if they'll allow me to shadow their department and allow me to make a demo reel. And then I can just send it out to, you know, different local markets. So that was my plan. And then they had a position open up. So what I would do was I'd go into CNN Radio in the morning. So I'd go in at 4 in the morning. I'd go and I'd train with one of their supervising producers. Her name's Maria Boynton. She is now I believe she's maybe the news director for V103, which is one of the popular radio stations out here. So she's working for V103 now, but she was a great mentor to me at CNN Radio. But it was tough because it was a lot of people who were older and I couldn't relate to one, and I felt kind of like they probably looked down on me a little bit just because I was younger. But they had a position open up, and I reached out to the director and I applied for it. And he told me, he was like, you know, I just don't think you're ready. And you know, I felt a little defeated, and I was just like, okay. So I went back to the tour office because, again, I'd go in at 4 a.m. and then I'd, you know, shadow and learn how to edit radio. And then I would go to the tour department afterwards. So then I'd do my 8-hour shift, you know, for the tour department. And I only did that a week. But after he told me that no, ready, I had a chance to think. And then I was just like, you know, who is he to tell me that I'm not ready? So I sent him an email and I'm like, all right, you're wrong. I am ready. I can do, if anything is humanly possible, I can do the job. You know, I've been learning this. Yeah. So, I mean, what's the big deal, you know? And then he responded and he kind of challenged me. And he was like, okay, well, if you think you're ready, how about this? He was like, how about I let you train for a week? And if you, if this works out, then I'll give you a freelance position. So he didn't offer a full-time position, but he did offer me the freelance position.
That still works. Yeah.
Right. Which I was happy to have because like $12, $13 an hour. Okay. And then radio freelance, they were going to pay me $25 an hour. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'll take that. So I trained again with Maria, and I think it was like day 3 or 4. I think it was the beginning of day 4. He pulled me into his office and he said, you know what, Naeemah, you were right and I was wrong. You are ready. He was like, you've taken to this well. He was like, you're done with your training and it hasn't even been the full week. I'd be happy to offer you a freelance position. And I remember Maria was a little surprised. She was like, oh, wow, that never happened, you know? Wow. So I worked for CNN Radio for about a year. Being in news took a toll on me. And again, I never, when I wanted to be in radio, I was thinking, you know, doing a Midnight Love kind of radio stint or, you know, something like that, you know, playing like smooth jazz.
Quiet Storm. Yeah,
right? Quiet Storm, right. You know, so that was my thought. I never thought it would be doing news radio, but I had to give it a chance because I was there, you know? So, but it was during the time where President Barack Obama was running. It was during the presidential elections when I worked there. Okay. And it was just a lot. And I felt myself kind of getting hardened to the world because of all this hard news. And so I decided after a year that that wasn't for me. Yeah. And so I resigned and I just left the company completely. Because when I did get the freelance position, that's when I left the tour department. Okay. But I left the company completely. I reset. I went to Radio Disney and worked for their promotions, you know, get some line into my life.
I love it.
And then I moved on to Cox Communications, where I became a senior encoding technician there. And so it was a little different from what I was doing in radio, but it was still like a technical position like radio was. And basically what I did was I watched commercials and approved them to go out on air throughout the Cox market.
Okay.
So during that time, and I know, I'm sorry,
I love it.
I am rambling. I'm almost done.
I love it. Who gets to know who you are? I love this. I love this. I'm taking notes. I love it.
So during that time, when I worked for Cox Communications, I got engaged, I got married, and then I also my first son. And it was, it to me it felt like it wasn't necessarily the best environment to be in, because it was a new development. They were centralizing everything in Atlanta because Cox Communications is headquartered in Atlanta. And so during when I was on maternity leave, I decided, for a number of reasons, I decided not to return. My hours were like working from 3 p.m. to midnight, and that just doesn't work for a new mom, and you're breastfeeding.
No, not at all.
So I resigned from there, and with the thought that I'd get into the media industry after a year. But I just did not have luck getting back in the industry. I actually had a few interviews that I got far on. I got far on interviews for 2 jobs, like top 2 for one, and I think top 5 for the other. I didn't get either job. And I'm like, all right, what's going on? What am I supposed to do? Because clearly that's not what I'm supposed to do. What am I doing here? And I had a conversation with my oldest sister. Her name is Takia. And we had actually hired a professional organizer for our mom.
Okay.
To help get our mom organized. And she was like, well, Naeemah, why don't you she was like, you've been talking about starting a business. Why don't you just go ahead and start a professional organizing business? I watched what that lady did. You can definitely do that, And I was like, oh, okay, maybe you're, I was like, okay, well, that's definitely something I'll look into, because I have wanted to start businesses in the I knew that I wanted to start a business, but I never knew it would be. And I was like, okay, the light bulb kind of went off in my head. And so then I started researching. At that point, it was kind of hard to find a lot of, and this was 2012, so it was kind of hard to find a lot of information about professional organizers, because now, there was a little bit of information, but there wasn't on how to become a professional organizer, what you have to do. You didn't see all these Instagram accounts with professional organizers on them like you do now, right?
Nope.
Right. So it's like the information just wasn't readily available. It was just still, and even though professional organizing had been around for a while at that point, there still just wasn't, a lot of information about it. So I did my homework. I reached out to a professional organizer in the Atlanta area at the time. She went by the Clutterologist. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she went by the Clutterologist. And so I reached out to her, and I saw a picture of her, and I said, "Up, she's Black with freckles like me. Let me reach out to her."
I love it. No, that's a big
right.
thing. I love that.
Right. And she was very helpful. She let me come on a couple of jobs with her. Before we went on the job, we met at like a Krispy Kreme, and we just had a conversation. And I was talking about how, I really want to start this business, but I don't know, because the startup costs and this and that. And she was like, the startup costs are minimal. Why don't you just start your business now? And I'm like, and she was like, no, really, she was like, you should just start your business now. And so after going with her, it made me comfortable to see like what her process was. And then I was like, okay, yes, I'm going to go ahead and take the steps to start this business. And she was right. The startup costs were minimal. It's like, it's not like a thing where you have to have $10,000 saved up to start your business,
Not at all.
So
I love it. I mean, the thing is, that's where Restore Order Now was born. And that's the thing. It's like, I've been in business 11 years. So I've been since 2008. And I do media, I do Concur, I do both. So I found a way to merge. I do both. So, I do both.
Right.
But I know when I came out, organizing has been around since the mid 80s. But it's not, hasn't gotten to where it is now, where it's a little more available. It's like maybe I'll say like 5. When I started this show 5 years ago, that was the beginnings of like NAPO starting classes and this place starting classes, and there's simplicity coaching here. Like it was starting to come out more. Hoarders was big, of course. That was a big one. But before that, it was Clean Sweep and Clean House, and
Right.
a few of those shows. But then it's like now we have Recondo, and so it's like, so yes, you're right. When you came out, even when I came out 4 years earlier than you did, Julie Morgenstern was the book that I found. I was like, ooh, Julie Morgenstern, what's this? And that was my start. But I had no idea you could make money off of this. Like money?
Right.
Oh, okay. I mean, I can make money. Okay. And that's I love it. I do. I love it. I want to ask you, because you have your business, that's fine. But I want to ask you, how do you go from that to co-founding? I didn't go to school, folks. I did. I got degrees. I'm sorry. Co-founding this organization. I'm gonna say it right. National Association for Black Professional Organizers. I mean, how did that get into your orbit? And yes, I want to know that. I want to know that story.
So the reason, so again, we're more comfortable with reaching out to people who, who look like us, right? Who have like lived the same kind of life experiences as us. And like I said, I did reach out to a couple of other professional organizers before reaching out to clutterologist Lorianne, before reaching out to her, but they just kind of join NAPO, and that was kind of it. They didn't offer like any context or anything else for me, where she was willing to have a conversation with me about it, to essentially be like a mentor to me. And so throughout this time that I've been a professional organizer, I feel like I've done some different things. So I also was in 2015, I joined the Contained Home program through the Container Store. I did that for about 2.5 years. But during that time, I've just noticed there were so many professional organizers who did not look like me. And I know it wasn't for a lack of, because they didn't want to do it or anything like that. I figured that perhaps people are hidden and not realizing that there is there are others around, and they too are, maybe not wanting to join a certain organization because they don't see themselves, represented there. So the reason that I and a group of 5 other ladies, the reason we started NAPO was because Black people and other minorities are underrepresented in this industry. And we wanted to create a safe space for, people of color to come. And white people are allowed in the organization too. It's not like it's a group where only Black people are allowed or only people of color. No, we're welcoming to all people, but we thought it was important to have a safe space for, people who look like us to come, to have these conversations, to find a mentor, to have someone that you can ask questions to without feeling, like you're being ignored or like you're being, talked down to, because I've experienced that in some Facebook groups that I've been in. And I've also witnessed it as well. Like I've noticed, and which was the catalyst for it. I was in a Facebook group and I asked a question, and at that point I'd been in business for a while, but it was just like a simple question like, so I do this, how do you do it? And I had some leave a sarcastic response on there, kind of like a snarky reply, and then I think someone else kind of gave like a 1-word answer, and I was like, okay. Is it just because it's me, or did I ask wrong, or what? So after that, I decided to not post any questions in that group. But I did decide that I would just kind of lurk and look at the things people ask and see their answers and all that stuff. But then I also noticed a pattern. I saw another Black woman asking questions, and I looked and I saw nobody answered her question, you know, or the same thing.
Let me sip my tea on this one. Like,
I'm just saying, you know, can we keep it real?
I love. You already know, so you already know about my situation with some groups. So yeah.
Right. But you know, and I noticed that, you know, if there was a response, it was snarky to her. So I ended up creating a group called Professional Organizing Sisters, and nothing against men. It was just because all the people that I were women, you know. So I created Professional Organizing Sisters for women of color, and it's still on Facebook. It's a private, only let women of color in the group. I've had white women who wanted to join in the past and then say, "Oh, I don't see color. It's not a big deal." So I'd be like, "All right, delete."
Yeah,
Joining this group.
They
This is
can't come in there. No,
why.
you can't come in there.
Right.
Yep.
This is exactly why we have this safe space for women of color, because, you know, we can't go into these other groups and be comfortable enough to ask a question. So we need own spaces. So from that group, Professional Organizing Sisters, and the lady who I saw on there, I ended up, who asked a question, it didn't get answered, or people were ignoring her and things like, ended up sending her a message saying, "Hey, I saw this happening to you. It happened to me too. I started this group. Would you be interested in joining this group?" And she's one of the people that has been a member of NABPO from the start, and she's still a member of NABPO. So, but when saying all that to say, it started from that group, Professional Organizing Sisters. I think it was a thing where I was like, "Hey, who's in Atlanta? We should all get together and do brunch." So a group of us got together to do brunch. It was maybe like, I don't know, at that time, like 8 of us that did brunch together.
Good. Okay.
And then after, yeah, and then while we were there, we were talking. We were like, "Oh, we should start something. We should this, you know." And then we just decided that we, you know, connect again on another time. And so I actually went to one of the ladies who, she didn't come to the brunch, but she was in the Professional Organizing Sisters group. She posted that she was speaking had a speaking engagement in Atlanta. And I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm going to go. You know, I like to support other professional organizers. I'm going to support my sister. I'm going to go and see her." And so I went. We had a chance to meet, and she was like, "You know, we should do something. We should do like a conference or something." And that member was Shahida, who is one of the founding members. And I was like, "Okay, great. Yeah, I was like, "How about I reach out and see if anyone's interested, and we can just meet up at my house and we can talk and we can discuss what we can do together, how we can collaborate." So we met up and we had like a potluck. Everyone brought something. And that is when NABPO was formed. And along with NABPO, we also formed Ebony and Orderly, because we heard NABPO would be the association where people can come and join, and people can, you know, have a safe space, have an association, have something to be a part of. And then Ebony and Orderly was our outreach to the community. So it was our outreach to, you know, let Black people know, hey, organizers exist. You can hire an organizer to help you. You don't have to do it yourself. Don't feel like, you know, everything, you know, the burden is all on you. If you need help, get it. And hi, we're Black women. We're here. We can help you. So with Ebony and Orderly, we started doing the workshops every year to Black women with becoming organized. But that is how NABPO was formed. We have 6 founders, me, then Tiffany Blassingame, she's the vice president. Then we have Carolyn Rogers, she is the secretary. Dina is Dina Smith, she is the treasurer. And then the other 2 members, Naomi Kialo and then Shahida Hill. So we make up the founding members of NABPO. Yeah. And then like at Ebony, yeah, you know Dina, okay. And then Ebony and Orderly is kind of our partnership business that we have that came from that as well.
Yeah. You know, so for me, being a man and Black,
right,
this industry is very interesting for me. And you were part of, I believe, some of the Facebook Lives that I was a part of, and comments that I've got Yes, you saw, and I got a lot of hate and stuff thrown at me from various areas. Just talking
Hate?
about, yes, I got some hate. Yes,
Mm,
that I was not supposed to be speaking in a group, even though organizing is both genders. Uh,
right.
there was a lot of resentment that I was asked to speak, even though I was speaking not even about gender, I was speaking about race. I was like talking about something that I feel like Black men and women can both relate to. It doesn't matter what gender you are. There are gender specific stuff, obviously, and I recognize my male privilege all the time. I know that, but
Right.
there's some things that are just Black,
Right.
like, do we put our faces on our websites? Do we put our faces on our
Right.
there's things that doesn't do with gender? I'm talking about just plain old Black stuff. Like I
Right.
got a lot of hate for
Right.
that, actually. They're like, well, you should have got a Black woman to talk. And I'm like, well, first of all, I was invited. And so I'm
Hmm.
going to speak. If I'm invited somewhere, I'm going to speak. And I feel like what I have to say
Right.
is still valuable. But I get that anyway in the business because I'm a man in the business. There's very few men in the business compared to women. And I have no problem. I love my sisters of organizing. Many of them are mentors to me. I have no problem with that at all. I used to be a nurse, and back when I was nursing 30 years ago, it was mostly women there too. Now it's changed more.
Hmm.
But the point is organize for everybody. But I want to talk more about Black stuff. I was like, I don't care about the gender part. And people keep getting caught up in the gender stuff. And I was like, no, that's not the Blackness of it all that we go
Right.
through just from our skin color, our hair. How do you wear your
Right.
hair? I mean, do
Oh,
you, do
yeah.
you wear locks? Do you wear braids?
Right.
Do you wear certain
Right.
outfits? I mean, like, how do you approach people? I mean, do you go to certain
Right.
areas? There are things that are uniquely Black or
Oh,
also
yeah.
uniquely brown. I mean, there's some other brown
Hmm.
folks too that go through that. I, tried to speak on as eloquently as I could and as plainly
Hmm.
as I could. And I think that's why you guys all came to my attention through this whole shenanigan, so to speak. And I was like, ooh, I like what they're doing. And that's why I invited you on the show. I'm inviting some others on the show too. I'm talking to some of them too. But I like that you guys decided to take matters into your own hands
Yeah.
and do something. A lot of folks talk, and talk is cheap, and they whine and cry, but don't do anything about it. And you
Right.
ladies did something about it, and I think that's a wonderful thing. And you should not apologize that it's Black in the title or ebony in the title. And I think it's
Right.
okay to have
Right.
that because we are underrepresented in this business. I mean,
Hmm.
it's kind of like for me, it's just kind of, well, I can't relate to you. Well, you should be able to relate to me, but there's also cultural differences for our clients.
Right.
You talk to Black women a certain way, older Black women a certain way, older Black men a certain way. Like there is a cultural thing that, and if you're already Black, there's a shorthand, right?
Right.
There's a
Hmm.
shorthand. So it's like if you
Right.
hire someone that looks like you, chances are, I'm not saying that every Black person works for every Black person. I'm just saying that chances are you'll feel more comfortable. The client will feel more comfortable. Uh,
Right.
they'll recognize things that that a person who's not Black maybe not would not recognize.
Right.
I just think it's so important. I think your group is so important. I just think I'm like, kudos to you guys for starting this. I mean, and because I had no idea, Naeemah, no idea. I know 2 Black organizers here in LA.
Uh-huh.
My girl Robin Reynolds, been on the show, and Tisha Lyons Porter. That's it. And then
Oh.
then I met. I've done over 300 episodes of the show. I met 2 others. One
Mm.
out of Texas and one out of Chicago. And,
Okay.
and those are the only other 2 Black women I've had on the show. I've had 4 Black women on the show, and that's it. And now you're the 5th. I
Mm.
mean, I'm telling you, I'm looking. I mean, I don't know any Black men. I don't know any other Black men in the business.
I
So
don't either. I haven't seen any.
I know Black men of
I
color. I have not
unicorn.
seen none. I mean, so I'm looking and trying to see and because I'd love to talk to another man. I've had men on the show, but not men of color or Black
Hmm.
men. I'd love to have that, and specifically Black men. I want to see what their experience is like too. I mean, it's because we're both Black men. I'm just curious how that is. So I'm fascinated by this. And so you said anybody can join the main group. That's the whole thing, and it's all
Right.
as long as you guys have a set of, I guess, rules and conduct and that kind of stuff.
We do. And we do charge a membership fee, which is $50. It's nothing like
It's not that expensive.
backbreaking,
No,
right, or anything like
not at all.
that. So and we do our meetings once a month over Zoom, and we bring in a speaker every month. to just talk about different things, like whether it's branding or social media or putting videos on YouTube or, things of that nature. So we're wanting to give people this network of other organizers, that you can reach out to and ask for help and ask to be a mentor to you and things of that nature. But we also want to be here for Black people, Black clients who are looking for a Black professional organizer in their area. We're trying to, I'd love to have organizers in all states. We don't have that at this point. We do have someone from Ghana, though, which is thing. We have, we have an organizer in Ghana. And, but we're often, getting emails from people in different parts of the country asking for, a Black professional organizer, but sometimes we have to turn them down because we don't have anyone in that area yet. So we are, open to all people of color, any people, period, joining us, but, specifically people of color, because there are other people of color around this country who are looking to work with organizers that look like them.
Yeah, I'm going to join, of course. I'm going to join. And I'm always here as a speaker. If you need somebody to speak from Hollywood, I want you to speak. You'll need one in the future. No, because I believe that, we have to support each other. And I think a lot of other races and other groups support each other wholly, and they do it and with no apologies, they do. And I always feel like Black folks need to stop apologizing for supporting each other. It should be okay. We can have a group. It's okay to have a group. It doesn't mean we're trying to, and you can speak to this a little bit too, I'm not trying to alienate ourselves from the larger organizing group. That's not the point, right? The point is just a smaller group to help each other out, right?
Exactly. No, I completely agree. And I feel like, a lot of times, and I agree with you, we shouldn't apologize for any of these groups that we form or any of these groups that we're a part of. I think it's tough for some Black people because they feel like if they join a group like this, then, people might look at them like, I don't know, maybe they think people will look at them like they're militant or something.
Yes.
But I look at it as, proud, I'm originally from New York, and my parents, raised in such a diverse place. And, my parents really instilled that proud Blackness in their children. So I've always been, proud to be Black. I have no problem joining Black organizations. I gravitate to Black organizations, and I join other organizations as well. Like I said, I'm a member of I'm a C, but there's just something about being around your people, being able to feel like you're not being judged, being able to, someone's name, having people be able to pronounce your name. You pronounce my name just fine. I get so many people who mispronounce my name or don't even try to pronounce it correctly. It's like just, someone who's not going to say, oh, what are these in your hair? You know what I'm saying? Or you might get someone say, oh, I love your sister locks instead, so it's just like being comfortable and having that and not feeling like you have to explain yourself, not feeling like you have to explain why your hair is a certain way, not having to explain what your name means, where your name came from, So yes, I've always been unapologetically Black, and I'll always be unapologetically Black. I joined a Black sorority when I was in school at my predominantly white school, So,
I love it.
but I just think, there are some people that just aren't that comfortable with joining the organization. And like you were speaking on it earlier about, do we put our picture on our website? Do we put our, do we put our picture up there? What do we do? Do you put it on your business card or, things of that nature? And that's reality that, Black people, the things Black people have to think about, because you want to run your business efficiently. You want to be successful at running a business. So these things are in the back of your mind. And I know I will say recently with, you know, everyone becoming so woke, I'll say, realizing that Black organizers exist. I've seen a push on Instagram for people to, you know, pass the mic, share the mic, whatever. I've seen, you know, the Home Edit promoting other Black organizers and stuff, which is great. But I feel like, you know, there ought to be some other things that are in place besides just, you know, posting people on a website or shouting them out or, you know, get on your page. Like, there really needs to be some sort of push to really, I think, in my opinion, promote Black professional organizers and the work that we do and the things that we're trying to do. Because no matter what, even with like seeing like these promotions of all these other Black workers, you know, their following has gone up, but it hasn't gone up drastically like some of the other people on there. So, but that's a whole nother thing.
I don't know. It's just another show, girl. Another show.
Right.
One day
Right.
I'll have you on for that too. No, but I mean, you said something that I'm glad you said, and that is you can be a part of many organizations and associations. I am also, you know, so I'm like, it's not just, it's okay to be parts of, I'm also Latino, so I'm part of Latino groups and Latin, I'm part of all kind of stuff. And it's okay. To me, I like showcasing and saying, this is what James Lott Jr. or Super Organizer is part of. It's a part of these many important things. And they're all important to me. And so why not? I have no problem being associated. It's like, it's okay to do much, but you're right. There's some folks who feel like it's a militant thing and it's like, that's a little too much. And I don't want, and that's fine. It's your preference. But I look at it as
Right.
community. I look at it as the village. I look at it as something very positive.
Mm-hmm.
It just, you know, why
Right.
not? Like I said, other people do it in their own racial backups or makeups or religious backgrounds. They follow each other and support each other and
Right.
proudly do it. So we should be able to too. And I think and in this day and age, it's very important for us to
Mm-hmm.
showcase ourselves and lift each other.
Right.
I mean, more so than looking for somebody else to do it. We should do it. That's always my thing. And I do this by having people like you on my show. Oh, thank you for being on the show. It went by fast. Like that was, I mean, I'm like, okay, I gotta count out, I guess. This is crazy. It goes by so fast. So you have to come back on.
We're done already? I mean, I wasn't done. I'm just kidding.
50 minutes. That's 50 minutes. It's like that. I'm like, okay, I guess I gotta do it. So you gotta come back on. That's all. You just gotta come back on. More conversation.
Definitely.
So Naeemah, tell people where they can find your business and then find the National Association.
Sure. So you can check out restoreordernow.com to see all things from my business, my book, my social media, everything, restoreordernow.com. And then if you are interested in joining NABPO or you just want to learn more, if you want to see the organizers, you can go to NABPO, which is NABPO.org, NABPO.org. And we are also on Facebook with NABPO, which there's a link on the webpage to get to the Facebook page.
And I'll put all these in the description too, everybody. So you'll just look below and you'll see these on there also. So don't worry if you can't remember that right now, folks. You can look below, it'll be there too. So you can go to it now. Check them out. Just see if they're for you. I mean, that's the whole thing. We all have choice. We have options. This could be a good choice and option for you. So I don't know. So go ahead and check that out. I'm James Lott Jr. You can follow me where all James Lott Jr.'s are sold at James Lott Jr. and all social media platforms. The Super Organizer is on all streaming services and all platforms, YouTube channel, JLJ Media. I have a bunch of shows other than SOS show at James Lott Jr. bustling and going on in my network. A lot of things are happening there. So like, subscribe, comment, share this show or this what we're talking about with whomever you believe needs to hear this or see this. Feel free to share it, whether it's the audio version or the video version. Please help yourself and share it with people who may not know what's going on. And if you're a Black organizer, contact me. Contact me. If you're a Black male organizer, contact me. Contact her. Contact me. Whoever. I want to talk to you. So I'm looking for you. Where are you? Looking for you. But everyone, please, 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 wash your hands. Wear a mask when you're outside. But above all, have compassion for each other.